Have you ever looked at a slither of carbon fibre, thought to yourself, that looks comfy, and then decided to sit on it for hours on end? No? Well, welcome to the Weenie niche of bare carbon saddles. Today, we're taking a thorough look at whether swapping your nice padded perch for a razor-thin slice of carbon is the performance boost you've been waiting for, or a mistake that you'll regret minutes into your first ride. First, let's be clear. Bare carbon saddles are exactly what they sound like. No padding, no mercy, just a triangular shaped sheet of carbon fibre. Traditional saddles, on the other hand, come with varying degrees of foam or gel to provide some level of cushioning, comfort and protection from friction and pressure buildup. This saddle was loaned to me by a friend who's had some issues with saddle discomfort, has tested several different models for himself, and has come to the not unsurprising conclusion that this is not the right one for him. I've had two shorter 1 hour rides through the hills on this saddle, and yesterday I did a longer 3 hour ride on flat terrain so that I could bring you my thoughts. In the interest of full disclosure, this saddle is narrower than what I would normally use. It's only 130 millimeters wide. Normally I'd take around 143 millimeters, but this is all that I had available to test. Is there a convincing argument to forego the relative comfort of a normal padded saddle for small weight savings and potential performance gains? What other performance gains could there be? Let's dive in. Obviously, the headline here is weight saving. With less material, a saddle can be lighter. This Pro Logo full carbon saddle weighs in at 135 grams. The usual saddle that I ride on my SL7 Tarmac is the specialised power saddle, which weighs 245 grams. Now this Pro Logo saddle is not the lightest in the world. A quick Google search comes up with the Cell Italia SLR Boost Techno Superflow, which weighs in at 95 grams. And if you're feeling really brave, the Gelu K3 carbon saddle weighing 39 grams. The firmer the saddle surface is, the greater the stability of the pelvis. With no padding to squish when the muscles of the leg contract to push the pedal and propel the bike forwards, there is maximum transmission of force from the saddle, with far less energy lost in unwanted lateral or rotational movement of the pelvis. With no soft material on the top of the saddle, we're not going to see depressions formed over a lifetime of use where your sit bones are, or friction marks occurring where your legs rub against the fabric. So it's fair to say that this saddle is more durable. It won't absorb any water or any sweat, so there won't be any material breakdown. This saddle has a gloss finish, so it is incredibly slippery to sit on. And this has both pros and cons. I found it very easy to remount after stoppages at a traffic light, as you can simply make initial contact and then simply slide into the right place. Traditional material top saddles require more of a lift in place rather than a slide to get into the exact right position. Equally, when pulling up at a traffic light, it's very easy to simply slide off forwards to put your foot down on the curb, exactly like being on a slippery dip. Does it look cool? I think all minimalist bare carbon looks awesome, and you'll see it on high-end sports cars and components, and even on high-end frames from Time bikes and also THM bike components. If you look fast, then you'll feel fast, and then you'll go fast, right? As a bike fitter, I know that saddle selection, preference, and comfort is very subjective. Now, I've already made a few videos discussing that I am not a fan of this shape of saddle, but I'm doing my best to look beyond the shape to focus on the properties of the carbon material and its ride feel. Saddle padding allows compression force to be distributed over a greater area of your body's skin and soft tissues. Less padding means the same pressure over a smaller area and more focused compression forces. During the short rides I did in the hills, I didn't really notice a major reduction in comfort levels with this bare carbon saddle. Yes, I could feel that there was less padding, but it was more a case of noticing a difference rather than detecting a problem. This was probably helped by me having some short periods of out of the saddle riding efforts when I needed some extra power, and also having a range of power outputs so that the loading on the saddle was variable. However, on my longer ride yesterday, which was much more of a steady state effort, I definitely noticed the saddle more. It clearly felt less comfortable, especially in the third hour. When I got off my bike after 77 kilometers, I did wonder if I could face another ride on it today. I was much more sensitive around the sit bone region yesterday afternoon than I'm used to following a ride, and that gave me some cause for concern. If you ride a bare carbon saddle, you'll become intimately familiar with the road surface. The difference in saddle compliance was much more obvious on bumpy bitumen than on smooth tarmac. Definitely unpleasant. I can't imagine riding with this saddle on gravel. The gloss finish meant that while riding, it was much more of an effort to stay in the one position on the saddle. Every little bump displaces you from where you were, and even changes in incline and your power output can result in unwanted fore-aft movement on the saddle. With steady efforts, this isn't a big issue, but when accelerating or even under hard braking, you'll notice it. Obviously, if you choose a carbon top saddle that has a matte finish, not a gloss finish, then you'll largely solve that problem. When I try on a new pair of running shoes, I want them to be comfortable in the shop. When I do a bike fit with a client, I expect them to be comfortable in the position that they leave with. So if this saddle is already starting to be uncomfortable within 3 hours, what's it going to be like after a full day on the bike or a multi-day cycling holiday? I'm just not confident that I'm going to develop any greater tolerance for this saddle over time. I already ride about 10,000 kilometers a year using a power saddle, which has some padding, but it's hardly plush. So I just don't think this saddle is going to get more comfortable over time. I think I'm about as saddle hardened as I'm going to get. Now, in relation to bike fit, listen carefully. If your bike fit is even a fraction off, a bare carbon saddle will magnify any unresolved issue. It will tell you loudly, on repeat, there is nowhere to hide. If you have a leg length discrepancy or any asymmetry in your pedaling action or power output, this saddle will quickly bring that to light. Perfect saddle height, tilt, and setback will be absolutely crucial. And be aware that you'll probably need to set this saddle slightly lower than your usual saddle because you will not sink into the bare carbon at all. The height you measure from the bottom bracket will be the height you sit at. If you ride and race in the hills and you love suffering and your bike fit is so dialed in, it brings a tear to your coach's eye, then this could be a good choice for you. If you are a lightweight rider with many years of experience and tens of thousands of kilometers under your belt, this could work well. If you've invested in a top quality chamois bib short, you might be on a winner here. I think this is a high risk choice if you are a long distance or an audax type rider. Not so good if you have multi-day rides on your schedule or are planning to ride on poor quality or unsealed roads. Not recommended if you are a beginner or are a heavier rider. And probably not for you if you have asymmetries, bike fit issues, or traditionally have trouble getting comfortable on your bike. So, bare carbon saddles, are they an upgrade or a hero's downfall? My conclusion is the same as my friend. This type of saddle, not for me. I'll go back to my 245 gram power saddle. I weigh 88 kilos, 194 pounds on a good week, and me trying to save 100 grams by saddle choice is utterly pointless. If weight savings are vitally important to you, there are so many other ways that you could achieve this without having such a big impact on your comfort. And to be honest, there are some very lightweight padded saddles available, including this old Celitalia Carbonio, which weighs pretty much the same as the Pro Logo and is an infinitely more comfortable ride. Please drop a comment below. Have you tried a bare carbon saddle? Would you dare? Or do you prefer more of a safety margin between your sit bones and the saddle rails? And if you've got something useful, or at least amusing out of this video, please hit the like button, smash the subscribe, and I'll see you next time.